Nummer 2.
Okay, 5 minutes past. Shall we start? So, welcome to the tutorial session. I'd like to talk a bit about how to use WebStat Atlas for troubleshooting and operation practices, because I think those tools are a bit underrated and not a lot of people know about them. Short introduction from my side. My name's Park. I'm doing work stuff since 25 years now. Do a lot of BGP service provider data center, you name it. And the usual problem you have as a service provider is your customer complains that they cannot reach certain prefixes, either from their home internet, from other providers. And although you're announcing all your prefixes, the looking glass at that provider sees prefixes, but still some are not reachable. So they are getting dropped somewhere on the path. How do you usually fix this? You call friends at other providers, you try to talk to people, try to get a hand of some SSH box somewhere in the back to troubleshoot that. But actually, we do have a lot of them. RIPE always had those test boxes where they did measurements to get the reachability of the K-root server, latency from certain autonomous systems. And RIPE Labs started in 2010 with about 380 probes. Sorry. Atlas gained user-defined measurements in 2011. Before that, it was just ICMP probes and a bit of a custom stuff. And beta testing that started on RIPE 63. In 2012, anchors were introduced. Anchors are bigger boxes. So you have those small RIPE Atlas probes. Who has an Atlas probe here? Okay, nearly all of you. The probes are those small devices, small embedded ARM something. And the anchors that were introduced in 2012 are bigger boxes, like bigger x86 with a bit of oomph. So you can do more measurements than with your small ARM processor. Software probes were explored in 2015. I've seen something about them now getting traction to go into beta. And at the moment, there are around 11,000 probes currently online. So online running and reporting and doing measurements, which is quite a feat when you start with like 380 probes like 13 years ago. There's more than just Atlas. You also have RIPEStat, where you can get information on prefixes, where you can see if your prefix is RPKI validated, where you have bgplay to see how your path announcements changed. So this is mostly interesting for service providers, but also for others. You have nice info cards. I will show them later in a demo. Basically, you have all your information that you need about your network or your AS number at your fingertips. So what can you do with Atlas? You can measure ICMP, TCP, UDP, reachability. You can run DNS probes. You can get trace routes from remote AS numbers. So if you want to have trace routes from eyeball autonomous systems like 3320 to your ASN, you can just do that because there are plenty of probes there. You can do one-off measurements. So if you just have a problem now, you can measure for that. And you can just attach your measurement to your issue with your upstream provider because those measurements are public. Everyone can see them. There's also the choice to make those measurements private, so not everybody can see what you're measuring. But if you use this for troubleshooting, you can make the measurement public, attach this to your ticket, and anybody else can have a look at that. You can run repeated tests for which you pay credit, which we will see later. Sorry. And so you can run your test like every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every hour, if you want to watch for certain reachabilities or for certain tests. There's the bit of the ethics question in measuring. So you have to think before you measure. Doing some specific DNS tests from states like Saudi Arabia might not be the best idea and might actually get people in trouble. Or measure availability from Ukrainian sites from Russia. Also something you should probably not do because this will get a lot of people in trouble fast. And you're using somebody else's internet connection or maybe even their home internet connection because a lot of people have probes at home. And yes, some DNS requests could land people in jail, actually. So think twice before you measure. Bit of a demo. I'll start with RIPEStat. So if you enter an IP address like this one over here, you get a lot of information. So you have BGP updates, geomap, so where is this IP number located, what's the prefix status, what's the DNS name. If there is a RIPE Atlas probe, there isn't at the moment, but I'm planning to build one. If it is used as targets for measurements, if there are looking glasses in RIS in the routing information service, if there's RPKI validation, there isn't, which is bad, which we have to fix. And there's a lot of other use cases. So where is this IP address in my address space? I'm using a v4 address. I could do this as well with an IPv6 address. But, sorry. Okay. Having a look at bgplay, how was this prefix announced? How is it announced? We'll get into a bit of detail about bgplay later. I can have a look at historical who is data, so who announced that, who maintains that. Can do a routing check. Where is this prefix announced? Which visibility do I have? Interesting. Here it shows a valid origin. Didn't show that in the previous card. Okay. Yeah, but let's dig into RIPE Atlas. Let's start a measurement. Let's create a measurement. I have my target IP address. I want to use IPv4 as an address family because it's an IPv4 address. I can do DNS resolvings. I can add text to that measurement. So if I have multiple measurements, I can find that one better next time. So if I do end user testing, I can put like an end user tag on that. I can add multiple measurements, so I can do a trace route as well. But let's start with a ping measurement. Probe selection, that's an interesting thing. At the moment, default is to have 10 probes which are worldwide randomly distributed. Let's remove that. Then we can use the wizard to either pick our probes. So if we want to have, let's take some probes from Sweden. I can manually pick some probes. So if I want to have a look at visibility from a certain geolocation, I can pick some probes from the map where maybe my customer is having problems, or I want to see if this region can connect to my service. So let's just add those two for the moment. We're doing a one-off, which we want to start now. The other thing would be that we select the start time and the stop time and then do repeated measurements, which we can do as well. So there we have it. I can go to my measurement. I have two requested probes, and two are actually participating. So I can, of course, request like 100 probes that should participate, but then I just actually see how much of them are online. So if I want like 200 probes from Germany and my random selection selects probes that are not online, then those will not be participating. Here you can see the ownership, it's public. Sorry. Every probe wants to have 6 credits for this measurement. And where do I see my credits? API keys, credits. Here I can see my credit balance. Everything you do on RIPE Atlas is based on credit points. You earn credit points for being a local internet registry, which gains you like, I think it was 1 million points, one-off. And you get additional credits for running your probe, or running multiple probes, or even 10 times that for running an anchor. So let's get back to the measurement. There we have it. And I have the latest results with a round trip time of what's it, 15 milliseconds. If you have any questions in between or want to ask specific things, please step up to a microphone or just ask. I can plot those on the map. It's not that interesting because I have just 2 probes. If I have a few more, we can try this with more probes. That's actually a bit more interesting because you see like geographically detailed how long your latency to your target is, for example. If we do this, if we create a new measurement, use the same IP but for trace route. I want to do this with SMP. Let's take the Netherlands, 50 probes. About 50 probes. Here on the side, I can see how many credits this will cost me if I let this run daily. And I will run out of credit in about 17 days. Because at the moment I'm asking 100 probes to do my measurements. And this is the one-off. And this just will cost me about 6,000 credits. The frequency, wait. Interval, you can set this up as soon as you start giving it a date. Like stop tomorrow. And then here's the interval in seconds. That's the frequency. You can just like 4 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever is sensible. But now we just run this as a one-off. I can create this also by API, where I can just copy the creation here. But we'll go into detail on the API a bit later. That's the wrong measurement. Yeah, running this usually takes a while. Atlas is not it's not instant, but I think for troubleshooting that's totally fine. And usually, if you use this for monitoring, you also have your probes continuously running, and something like 10 or 15-minute interval should be fine, because if you run this at a more dense interval, you probably lose a lot more credits, and it's usually not sensible because you don't need that many data. Come on. Here on my Atlas page, I see, okay, I have one running, one setup. Can create a new one. I have no stop measurements. Yeah, could you come up to the microphone so it gets, okay. Go to the microphone because then it's on the recording. It's in the center.
Sorry for disturbing. Regarding the probes, the hardware probes yet. So there was version 3, the white boxes, then later the version 4, the small black boxes, the hardware probes. No? There is something new on development. Gonna be version 5 for power over internet power, because still USB power, you know, you should need to restart the probe. So now it's done like USB adapter, or like some USB power is needed. So no, and or the concentrating to the software. So now some devices, some routers has included the software probe. This regarding the client toward the central, and regarding the central. So this is like dashboard, and you should go there to see some results. Could you imagine the future? So you know, like some even corporate level using this solution for integrating to some log management. You know, these logs can be extracted, but manually, right?
You can add this through the API. You can repeatedly pull the API to put this into log management. Is that what you wanted? Yeah. And I think you can access also the probe status over API and add this maybe to monitoring checks, but we can talk after the session maybe. So, traceroute measurement, still not coming up. Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, maybe use fewer probes, or maybe not use 50 probes in Sweden because there are not so many. Interval, we don't care. Traceroute. And we're doing a one-off. This looks better. There we have the first probes coming in, also just reporting. And you can actually see the probes on the map here. Okay, 100 requested, non-participating. Okay, can live with that if you don't like me. Back to my class. There we have it. This looks good because now I see a lot of probes. All of those probes have IPv4 connectivity. Some of them even have IPv6 connectivity with hopefully the same AS number. I can see if the probe is connected or if the probe is offline, which is helpful when I have historical data. I can sort by hops, by traceroute hops. So how many hops does it take to reach my target? I have my round trip time, also with a nice graphical view. I can see if it was a success. So if any of those probes fail, then somewhere on the way the path is blocked or broken. If we see this from a map, it's a quite uniform RTT distribution. And I can load TraceMon, which we'll visualize in a second. Where I can select all my probes. And maybe I just select not all of them, but just a few. And then I can see a visualization of my trace route. So actually which path everything is taking as soon as it's loading. Okay, that's the demo effect. Okay, I can download the raw measurement data if I want to, get this back in JSON, and then I can do my own visualization on that. So including the full result with hops. Or I can feed this to my own TraceMon instance. So there's always the choice to do something else with, do something with your data yourself if you want to feed this into like things like Prometheus, create metrics, build this into your monitoring solution like Isinga or Nagios or whatever. All those can be pulled without any authentication as well. So let's see if TraceMon likes us now. Nope. Okay. Other management, other things I can do an SSL management. Here I should probably do some things like some host name. Let's use a popular website. And we want to do this over IPv6, of course, port 443. We want to use this for www.rednet. 10 probes, okay. And go. This is also useful if I run a website, so I can do an SSL test from everywhere. I can see path MTU issues because usually my certificates are bigger than the usual 1500 bytes I get from my MTU or somewhere else. And I can see if certificates are valid, if it's working from, if it's working over IPv6, because that's usually a common problem when you configure a web server. You configure the IPv4 part, but forget about the IPv6 part, or the other way around. And this is usually a good idea to set this up for monitoring. If you don't monitor it yourself, but you can also see it from the outside, you can see if the certificate is valid. You can again pull this as, okay, I don't see a map here. You can pull this as a JSON object into your monitoring or your log settings and whatever you need. So the rest should be pretty self-explanatory. You can do HTTP measurements, do HTTP round trip times to test if your IPv4 paths are good, if your IPv6 paths are good, which one is actually faster. You can do NTP measurements. Red Atlas gives us some internet maps where it has, for example, the round trip time to some fixed destinations. So mostly measured are the root servers. And here you can just filter from any AS and see how the reachability to that specific site from Germany is. So most of the probes in the German telecom network are obviously in Germany, and they have a pretty uniform latency distribution. So that's also things that can be done for measurement. If we don't filter, we see all of them, and that's also a good tool to see if we have like bigger problems in the internet, some internet exchange that has bigger issues or some cable that was cut. You would see this pretty fast on the latency map. Some other maps, root server performance, reachability of some fixed destinations. If they are reachable, also most of the root servers as well as some Atlas anchors that can be measured. Okay, questions so far? Is everybody still asleep? No. You
should mention that HTTP is only possible to anchors.
All right.
Also, there are some restrictions in the measurements.
Yes, right, I forgot.
So maybe I was very disappointed that I see I can do SSL or HTTPS, but I cannot HTTP tests.
Should.
So Schäfer was my name, and yeah.
Let's try this. I have some advanced options where I can put any more gets.
Or maybe it has changed in the meantime, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it changed in the meantime because I can do different measurements to different targets.
Okay, sorry.
Let's just do it as a one-off. So you can do some just things like query strings, additional headers, if you want to measure extended timing, even more extended timing. And let's run the test. Please define a measurement. I have. Yeah, okay, only anchors may be targeted. Maybe then we should improve this a bit and do maybe a drop down up here. Target a specific anchor. Any more questions, additions, anything I forgot? Okay. Managing a credit score, we just had that. If you set up your measurements in a certain way, or even repeating often, you might burn through your credits quite fast. As a local internet registry, you get 1 million credits once. And a single probe gives you 15 credits per minute. So it's like 7-8 million credits per year. That's 8 times that what you get when you just are below. Hosting an anchor gives you 10 times the credit. You can share your balance with your coworkers because probes have to be registered to a RIPE NCC account. And you can share your balance with your coworkers or friends. You can donate it to a public pool to give it away. And or you can just give it away to somebody else.
A small correction, at least online it says as a LEA you get 1 million credit once per month if you go on the website. So I'm not sure which one is correct.
My impression was you get this 1 million credits once when you sign up, but we can check on the website.
If you go to your credit page, there should be a link up there for like claim your 1 million credits. Go back to the page. Go back to the page before.
To the
and
my Atlas.
the overview, and then on the top right, there claim your 1 million credit. One down on the right side.
Claim 1 million credits to use on your own customized measurement.
Yeah, but on the right side, there's a link, claim your 1 million credit. Yeah. And there it says once per month.
I can do this once a month. Okay. I stand corrected. Better? Yeah. Hosting an anchor gives you 10 times more credits, and as I said, you can share, donate, give it away to whoever needs this or whoever is doing management for that. You have a whole toolbox, even with the batteries included. You get a REST API to Atlas, so you can create measurements through an API, get the results through an API. So you can include this into your custom management solution, whatever you have. So if you have a trouble ticket system and customer complains about something, you can just add a create measurement button and then run your measurements in the back of Atlas and get the results back if you want to. You have a CLI interface for quick management. You can get through a lot of historical data. And there's also a RIPE measurement check for eSinger 2 and compatible that you can just add to your monitoring solution. So either eSinger, Nagios, whatever speaks monitoring plugin. There's another tool I like, it's BG Play. So I can see for my AS, did any of my paths change in the last days? Are my prefix announcement working correctly? Am I announcing my prefixes to my right neighbors? Especially if I have multiple upstreams and multiple peering points. What happens after the digger incident last week where the big yellow cable searching thingy cut a few cables next to my data center? Did this change any path? How did my provider upstreams react to that? Back to the Atlas side, back to Rapstat. Okay, the demo gods don't like me.
I have something else regarding the credits. I just
Yeah.
noticed on the right 86 website, there's a virtual event bag. And in there, if you go, you also find a credit code for another 1 million in credit, which you can redeem. It's under a tent, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then left box, lowest link on the left, upper left, yeah.
Virtual event back.
And there's another
Yeah.
1 million in credits, which you can redeem.
Another million credits. So yeah, everybody go ahead, claim your credits now, before they are all gone. And yeah, this is RIPE Atlas article from October 2016. The RIPE Atlas blogs are also a good source of information and giving technical details on how Atlas works, what you can do with it, what kind of measurements you can create. So for further reading, this is good as well. So let's try reloading that. Maybe it needs a short coffee break. Shall we do 10 minutes coffee break or something? Or
The right Wi-Fi network seems weird, like some places can't be
Ah,
reached, so maybe it's that.
oh, well then. Let's trust on KPN. I usually shouldn't have, but let me have a look. System settings. Yeah, that's just connect to the right meeting. Nope. And then let's try the LTE hotspot. Now we're talking. So I start with my IP address here on the top, and I can see which ASs this is connected to. I have my origin AS here in red. And I can see all my direct connections. But I don't get historical data at the moment. Okay, that's So if you want to see how your prefix is connected and where it is routed to, or even what your path is to, like, some AS, you can quickly visualize that. So here we have some of our uplinks, like I think 1257 should be our backbone with multiple links, and yeah, you can pretty good see connections to other autonomous systems. You can debug the path changes if you have some and they actually show up. You can get pretty good historical data on that. So RIPE has a lot of collector peers, and yeah, you see origin AS, dynamic static paths. And this also helps, yeah, well, operation troubleshooting. I can script BG play, but at least I can see after the incident what happened, and I can check if my announcements are working correctly, if I have path changes that I wanted to see in there, if they are working correctly, to avoid certain AS numbers and to get a bigger picture of the internet. So, documentation, any is good and better than nothing. There's a lot of documentation on Atlas RipeNet/docs. A lot of the documentation point links on the Atlas website point to 404s. I think this needs to be addressed, but I found this while building this talk. There's a webinar on using Atlas, but there's no date scheduled and no slides are available. So I think this is something the Atlas group has to fix as well. Either provide the slides or set up additional webinars. And yeah, it's not just the looking glass that you need. And because not every AS has a looking glass, Atlas, BG Play, and Rapstat help you troubleshoot. You get 1 million credits a month. And there is another useful tool is the Ring, which is set up by NLNOC. And this is a network of virtual machines that are hosted in different sites by different providers or service providers. And as soon as you are part of the Ring and provide your own Ring nodes, you get SSH connection to all the other nodes that there are. So if you want to do distributed measurements or troubleshooting through that, so if you need an SSH connection or something like that, that's the way to go. Be part of the Ring. I think you need to host at least 2 virtual machines, but that's on the website. And so far, I'm a bit early, so if there are any more questions or anything you want to see, maybe dive into the API or something like that, we can do that. Okay, no specific questions so far? Then we can, yeah.
Hi, can you talk a bit about the process to join the Atlas network, to request a probe, the costs involved and all that?
You can request a probe. So I currently have no probes myself. You can apply for a probe on the Atlas website. It doesn't cost you anything. Coffee service. You can apply for a probe on the Atlas website. It doesn't cost you anything. They are usually sponsored through third parties. And you can either pick it up at some RIPE meeting, and yeah, at the moment, the RIPE is out of stock, as you can see. But yeah, you can usually pick it up or get it by post and then register your probe and connect it. So hosting a probe doesn't cost you anything except a network port and a bit of power for the USB.
Maybe to add also, you can install probes as the hardware is currently not available on your Debian server, VM or something, or your OpenBIT device like the Tourist Omnia.
Yeah, that's the software probes, which I was talking about. And I think they're in beta at the moment and you have to apply for them. So you can just download and run them. But I might be wrong. Yeah, you need a software probe application. Then you can install it and be part of Atlas. Any more questions? Okay, then I think we end a bit early. And you have at least time to grab a coffee outside. And thanks for coming here.
It did say that there's lots of people.
And the thing is, that's what happens if you have custom ABS. Uh-huh. Yeah, the thing is, they is not using the operating system resolver. And unfortunately, yeah, what happened here since last time, during last meeting, you have to give custom unit because you can port the resolver was able to do it. But nowadays, they change something and it just works easily. See, does look like DNS. Yeah, because but how come you have this in the function SC equals DNS? Because it's not coming from the network. Because it looks like, yeah, it looks like somehow you have prioritized this for 8, but I what did it?